wonderful people. You're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Bola. If you're coming across my video for the first time, do me a favor by clicking on that subscribe button. Subscribe to my channel, like my videos, share my videos. I will appreciate that. Thank you. And to my returning subscribers, thank you very much. I'm not taking you all for granted. Thank you for always taking out time to watch my videos whenever I upload any videos. I really appreciate you all. Thank you. God bless you richly. Okay, today's tutorial, we'll be drafting an off-shoulder bustier dart pattern. We'll be drafting an off-shoulder bustier dart pattern. So let's move over to the cutting table and I will see you there. Bye. I have my pattern paper on the table and it's being folded into two. I also have the measurements I'll be working with. The bust measurement of 44 inches, under bust 38, waist 40 inches, shoulder to bust of 11, shoulder to under bust 15 inches, shoulder to waist 18, nipple to nipple of 4.5, armhole 9 inches, and my shoulder 16 inches. Okay, so the first thing I'll be doing on my pattern paper is to mark out my guideline rule, which will also serve as my shoulder line. I'll be marking out my guideline rule, which is also my shoulder line. I'll make it into a straight line. Because we'll be making an off-shoulder design, I'll be dropping my off-shoulder by 5 inches. So I'm going to place my tape rule on 5 on the shoulder line. I'll be putting my tape rule on 5 because it's an off-shoulder design. I'm dropping my off-shoulder by 5 inches. So I'll place my tape rule on 5 and I will mark out 11 for my bust line. Under bust of 15, I'll mark 15 inches on my paper, and the waist of 18 inches. So I'm going to take 1 inch for allowance. The next thing for me to do is to connect the points to make it into a straight line. Having done that, I will quickly go over to label the lines. The first line there is my shoulder line. Then the bust line, the under bust line, and the waist line. Then the allowance. The next step for me is to take my nipple to nipple measurements. I'm working with the nipple to nipple measurement of 9 inches into 2 is 4.5. So I would mark out 4.5 from my tape rule. I'm going to note 4.5 on my bust line. I will note 4.5 also on the under bust line. I will do same on the waist line. I'll be taking 4.5 on the waistline as well. So I will connect the points together to make a straight line. I'll then go over to the shoulder line. Instead of taking 4.5, I will be taking 5.5 on the shoulder line. I'll be taking 5.5 on the shoulder line. Having done that, I'm going to connect the points, the 5.5. I will join it to the 4.5 that I already made. So I'll be connecting the lines together. I'll then move over to my underbust line to take my darts. On the underbust line, I'll be taking 1.5 on both sides for my darts. I'll be taking out 1.5 on both sides. I'll move over to the waistline. I will take 1 inch on both sides of the waistline. I'll take 1 inch. I'm going to connect it together. I'll connect the lines to the point together. I will then move over to the bust line. I'll be taking 1/2 inch below the bust line. I'll take 1/2 inch below the bust line. I will also go above the bust line. I will also take 1/2 inch above the bust line. I will then connect the lines I've made to the 1/2 inch below the bust line. I'll then move over to the shoulder line. I'll be taking 1 inch on both sides of the shoulder line. I'll be taking 1 inch on both sides. I'll be connecting the 1 inch to the 1/2 inch above the bust line points that I've made. I'll connect to the 1/2 inch above the bust line. You will notice that I'm not connecting my dart to the bust line. This is usually so to avoid any points, any sharpness around that area. Okay, I'll then take my cuff now to cuff the bustier out. Alright, the next thing for us to do now is to insert our circumference measurements. So I'll be taking my shoulder measurements of 16 inches. Into 2 will give me 8 inches. So I'll take my tape rule and I will locate 8 inches on my tape rule. The 2 inches that will be cutting out for the darts, I'm going to replace it. I'll be replacing the 2 inches that will be cutting out. So that makes it 10 inches. But because it's an off-shoulder pattern, I'll be going in by 1.5 because we are making an off-shoulder design. Instead of leaving it at that 10 inches, I'll be going in by 1.5. Okay. So on that point now, I'm going to determine my armhole. Just as I have said that I'll be dropping my shoulder, my off shoulder by 5 inches. I'm going to place my tape rule on 5 and I will locate 9 inches on my tape rule. I will locate 9 inches on my tape rule for my armhole line. Okay, so the next thing for us now is to determine our bust measurements. You can as well take your bust measurements on your armhole line. So I'll be taking my bust measurements on my armhole line. The bust measurement I'm working with is 44. I'll be taking 11 inches, and I'll note the amount of fabric I'll be cutting out. I'm going to replace it. Okay, then I will add my allowance, my sewing allowance of 2 inches. I'll then move over to my waistline. I won't be putting my under bust measurements because whatever I take out on the waist will be able to accommodate my measurements for my under bust. So I won't be putting my under bust measurements. I'll go over to my waist to insert my circumference measurements. The waist measurement I'm working with is 40 inches. So I'm going to take 10 inches. Then the 2 inches that will be cutting out, I'm going to replace it. Also, I'll be adding my sewing allowance. I will then connect the points together. I'm going to connect together. At this point, I decided to put my bust measurements on my bust line. So I'll be putting my bust measurements on my bust line, and I'll be adding the sewing allowance as well. Then I will then use my ruler to connect together. Okay. We will then insert our armhole curve. So I'm going to take my armhole curve to connect for my armhole. Okay. The next thing now is for us to cut out. But you can decide to change the neck design. If you don't want a straight neck design, you can decide to make it into a sweetheart neck, or whatsoever design that you want to have. You can decide to put that at the neck as add your neck design. We can then cut out. Please, if you're coming across my channel for the first time, kindly subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos. And to my subscribers, I say a big thank you for your love and support. Okay, so I haven't cut out now. This is now what we have. Our middle piece and the side piece is ready. Then we can then transfer onto our fabric. Can decide to open it up so we'll see what we have. So that is what we have when we open it up. Okay. And thank you so much for watching till this time. Really appreciate you. Thank you for the show of love all the time. Really appreciate all of that. Thank you so very much, and I will see you in my next tutorial.